The car will know it needs an MOT, will have booked itself in at the local place.
And it's driving itself there.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
That is going to become normal. 3 years ago, we'd have thought that was science fiction. That could all happen now. The technology exists to do that now. It's just our fear, perhaps, of not wanting to see our car drive.
And I'm not sure what I feel about it. The fridge telling me that I need milk and it just being there the next day. Like, how's it going to get there? Or, I'm a bit fearful of maybe the shopping just appearing.
Whereas I think that is amazing. I love the idea of I never have to go to a supermarket again. I never have to worry about running out of milk or coffee or the important sort of sources of life. I can't wait for that to happen. We'll see if we get there in 2025. But. Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year, and welcome to the next episode of the Technology Boardroom. I'm joined today by my colleagues, Pete and Kate. Pete, do you just want to give a quick intro?
Happy New Year, everybody. Good morning. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you had a fantastic festive period and are looking forward to the challenges that the 2025 is going to throw to us all. I'm here as Director of Sales Expertise, looking after our pre-sales team here within Advania UK, and heavily involved in technology. So, looking forward to talking about where we think all of these technologies are going to go in the next 12 months, and get my crystal ball out in front of me to see, where we think we could go during that period.
Happy New Year, everyone. I am Kate Hutchinson, Head of Dynamics here at Advania, looking after a team of consultants implementing ERP solutions, and looking forward again to kind of touching on AI and the tech in 2025 and how that might help our clients.
Said it already. We're into the introductions and we got AI in already. I can't believe it.
I was just about to say, I think that's some sort of New Year bingo for the earliest one so far. But and just to round that out, so I'm Robert Smith and I'm the Partnerships Director at Advania, so responsible for making sure all our sort of partner relationships are working as they should to deliver value back to our customers. So, and as Pete alluded to, we're here today to talk around our tech predictions for 2025. So, what do we think's going to happen? What do we think's going to be the next big thing, or the breakout technology that everybody needs to understand? And we thought we'd do it a little bit differently today. So, I'm going to ask you both. We're going to start with talking about our sort of slightly off the wall predictions. So what do we think if all sort of ropes were taken away, what do we think tech might do this year? And then we'll pull it back towards the end and we'll talk about maybe some more realistic stuff that we think is actually likely to happen. But I thought it might be a bit fun to explore what the limits might be, and then we can have a chat again in a year's time and see whether any of them were as crazy as we thought. So, Pete, I don't know if you want to kick us off. So, in that theme, what's something sort of slightly out there that you think might happen this year?
Well, obviously, Kate's already mentioned the two letters that I will not mention again. Well, I'll have to probably as we go through. Obviously, everything is AI. Everything is likely to be AI going forwards. But for me, I think there will be some significant changes over the next year. I think, the economy is not quite where the economy should be, and apologies, I'm bringing the tone down to start. So I think ever more we'll be trying to do more with less, as we have been for many years. So efficiencies, trying to save finance costs on IT spend, etc. All of that will be the norm this year, I would have thought. But what I do see is, and I'm going to be controversial here, I see a lot more edge type computing coming back into the forefront again. So a lot of actual workloads coming potentially either partially or fully out of the cloud again onto our end devices. So, give you an example, Copilot plus PC being a prime example of that, where they're bringing some of that AI processing power back onto our edge devices so that we can actually be more efficient. Well, I see that growing and I see us do much more of that. We've talked for years about things like Internet of Things and all of the sensors that we can put into organizations. Well, I think all of that is going to grow, and I see that edge space growing massively in the next year as people want to do more with the data they have, gain more better data, basically, and then be able to use the AI to be able to process that data and make better decisions. So for me, I think it's a year of efficiencies. I know that's very dull, but a year of efficiencies, a year of getting in there to, make the technology do more for us. And as I say, for me, I think it's coming back out to the edge a bit more is where we're going to go.
We've already slipped into realistic predictions. I was hoping for Skynet and Terminators and all sorts of other crazy stuff, but no, I think it's an interesting point, Pete, because for those that aren't aware, we're part of a wider group as Advania that has a footprint across the Nordics and Western Europe as well. And interestingly, in that Western Europe market, they are seeing that. They are seeing clients that had previously perhaps moved wholesale to the cloud, looking to pull some of that resource back out onto on-premise hosting for a variety of not necessarily super interesting technical reasons and sort of efficiency gain reasons. But it's a really interesting point, and I think we could definitely file that one under the likely to happen box rather than the out there box. So Kate, give us something a little bit more wild and woolly and out there. What's your sort of headline prediction for what might happen in 2025, but it's probably not going to?
Well, I think from my point of view, I mean, just touching on ERP, I think that we've probably already got robots, haven't we, in warehouses picking things for certain big companies already. So that's definitely an area we may see more of from an out there perspective. I think one of the things that, and again, this is probably going back into a bit more realization. One of the things that we've seen is that, AI is helping us, Copilot's helping us cleanse data. But maybe, actually we'll be talking by the end of the year that it'll be extracting the data for us from existing systems. It'll be cleansing the data for us. It'll be adding data in where it thinks some data is missing, rightly or wrongly. And it'll then be importing that data back into the new system for us already. So where's that human interaction in the middle of that? That would probably be my query as to how far does it go that it kind of does all of those things, whereas at the moment we're probably getting it to cleanse data, and then there's a lot of human interaction still to get that data back in and refresh that data and cleanse it.
That's not a technology limitation, though, is it? The technology could do all of that now. It's just we're, as humans, we're terrified of giving over that level of control, perhaps.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we talked about, isn't it, is making sure that one of the things that I've been reading around is that where data might be missing, like I mentioned before, AI will just add that data in based on historical and maybe future predictions. It'll complete that data. And I'm like, well, how can it do that? It doesn't know what that data is. We're not sure what that data is, are we? Yeah. So I don't know about how much we should rely on that element of it, but 100% in terms of efficiencies of cleansing it and being able to understand how we can import that data more efficiently back into a system, then 100%, then that's definitely something I think we'll be seeing in 2025.
100%, Kate. AI is going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to invade more into the things that we do. Sorry, that's a negative overtone. I shouldn't use that, but it very much is going to be the thing that drives the efficiency, drives the way that we do business. It's going to happen. We can't uninvent it. So it's going to be the tool ever much. Very, very much it was in 2024, but it's going to be ever more the tool in 2025 as we get more intelligence built into it to start to do more and more and more for us.
I think from a 2025 perspective, it will probably be more the efficiencies, like you said, though, before, Pete, than going that extra mile in terms of allowing AI to kind of take over as such. Maybe that's a bit further down the line.
I was trying to go out there, as Rob asked me at the beginning, to think about what could be the future. So I was heading towards Skynet as he introduced a while ago.
Yeah.
Please don't. Let's not do that.
We do, on a serious note, though, have to think about AI and security, for example, because a lot of the solutions that we're talking about are about efficiencies and about being able to manage that data and to, fill in the gaps within data that potentially we've not got available to us. Well, fantastic. AI can do all of that, but very much so, AI could actually be used by somebody on the other side of the fence to do some naughty things to get into our systems as well. So we've got to be very careful. So another prediction for me in 2025 is the security infrastructure that will need to be in place around all of our environments will need to be stronger and will need to have different technologies embedded within it than we have today, because of the technology that's out there. So, security, again, I'm being very dull today. I don't know what it is. Security is going to be a big factor in 2025. It's going to have to be, to protect our environments from what will be ever more clever, automated, efficient attack vectors that the criminals will come up with.
That's protection layer, whatever that ends up look like, that's likely to be automated and AI driven as well, right? We're gonna have AI attacking AI and trying to fend each other off, and I think that's, again, firmly sort of bucketed under realistic rather than out there, I think, to be honest.
Absolutely, it is. But we need to make sure that we as an organization and you as users out there are fully aware of the capabilities of AI, what we can do to enhance our business processes, to enhance our productivity, because it's amazing the tooling that's out there today. Give it 6 months, it will be, it'll have moved on significantly. But because that's moving on, everything else is moving on as well. So we cannot forget that security piece, because it is going to be super critical.
Just to give my tuppence then, in terms of, I think it's an out there prediction, but maybe we'll be sat here next year and I'll be proved wrong. I'm convinced 2025 will see the first AI solopreneur billionaire. So what I mean by that is, we're used to sort of this concept of born in the cloud companies, organizations that started and never had an on-premise legacy environment to worry about, never had a legacy ERP system that they needed to migrate to the cloud. Or they started there, right? They started in the cloud, everything was SaaS, and away they went. I firmly believe that we're going to start to see born in AI companies. So organizations, sole trader, almost sort of solopreneur people who come up with a great product idea or a great business idea, but they're not a coder, they're not a financial whiz, they've not got a big background in sort of building companies from scratch or anything like that. But they've got a great idea, and then they've got this wave of AI capability that helps them get there. So they come up with the idea of the product, fantastic. Maybe even AI help them do that bit, maybe from a conversation with Copilot one afternoon. Then they use AI to build the code that writes the app. Then they use another AI tool to market that app and create content to go out to the world. Then they use AI to build an online marketplace that goes and sells it to their clients. And suddenly you've gone from a great idea on the 1st of January through to the end of the year, where you've made £1 billion and you've done it on your own with AI helping you. Now, that might be a bit out there, and it might be that it doesn't happen in 2025. But I can almost guarantee it will have happened by 2026, right? It's that sort of approach. And I wondered what your views were on really sort of embracing that AI wave and seeing where it might take us.
100%. I think you're 100% right there, Rob. It's going to happen. Very much like the .com millionaires, etc., that came out when, obviously, I'm showing my age now, when we were, the early days of the internet, etc. There were millionaires that were created just off the back of great ideas, and yes, absolutely, more will occur. If I could think of one, I'd probably do it, but unfortunately, I'm not quite sure that I'll have to ask AI what is the best thing that we can invent to make ourselves millions.
It's worth
You never
a
know.
try.
It's definitely going to be the case, isn't it? Like, what's going to be the best product to come up with in 2025? And just ask AI. It's going to tell you, and then you'll be this self-made billionaire that Rob talks about.
I tell you what, whilst you two chat, give me a second, and I'll actually do it, and we'll do it live in the episode. Why not?
So while Pete is frantically trying to become a billionaire, so something else that I think, I am going to come back to something that Pete said earlier, because it sort of sparked something in my brain, because we were talking about AI tools and AI products and all this sort of stuff, and I think that's not quite the right language or terminology for where we'll end up at the end of this year. So at the moment, we do think in, let's face it, we're predominantly Microsoft, so we think in terms of Copilot as a tool, or as AI, Azure OpenAI as a tool, or Copilot for security, or these distinct, at least in our minds, these distinct AI tool sets. I think that's going to go away, and I think there's just going to be almost this AI expectation and this AI layer that just embeds itself into everything that we do. And we won't, by the end of this year, we won't be talking about individual AI tool sets. We'll just be, well, this just does it for me, right? The capability is just embedded into everything, not just the products that I use, but my approach to work, my workflows, our processes, our sort of expectations from people that this stuff is just there and just working. I think that's something that potentially will happen in 2025, but if not, again, will definitely come later, moving away from the technology and more towards the outcome and the impact that technology drives.
I mean, just look at how much in 2024, we've used Copilot, and that's changed our way of working throughout the year. And then, Copilot initially, obviously in Teams, we're recording meetings, it's summarizing notes for us. We've created efficiencies there massively, and probably everyone at Advania has used that this year, did we know about that in January 2024? Or was it prior to that? I can't remember.
Great,
in terms of,
and it's a great sort of thing to talk about in terms of timeline as well. So you're absolutely right. So we did sort of know about it at the start of that year, but it wasn't necessarily available to everybody. Then you hit that summer milestone where we go, all right, we'll now open it up to everybody, sort of June, July time, where everybody in the business then gets access to it. And that usage and that productivity gain just skyrocketed. When you talk about sort of exponential sort of hockey stick curves of use and value, it was so impactful so quickly that I couldn't go back to a world where I didn't have it. And that's not to say I'm using it on every meeting or every interaction or every email, because I don't think that's how anybody, at least at the moment, we might talk about that prediction, but I don't think that's how anybody currently works with the AI tool. But it's like that friendly little colleague who can just help you out when you need them, or you need a sounding board, or you're not quite sure where to go, or you don't know how to make yourself £1 billion next year, and suddenly you can go and ask that question and it will spit out the answer and help you towards the goal that you're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. And I think we're lucky at Advania that we've had access to that this year. I don't think not every company's had access to that, have they? And I know I've spoken to friends before and said, I've needed to compose this email and I had this response and I was just unsure about a couple of the sentences I wanted to put in, and I put it in Copilot and they were like, really? It does that? That's amazing. Yeah. And then I was telling them how we could ask questions in ChatGPT. So not everybody knows about it and is utilising that. But so that's definitely a prediction for next year, that more and more companies, it'll be at their disposal. But like you said, Rob, I wouldn't be without it now. So it's my norm, and it's become my norm in 6 months.
And the expectation is there. So you probably get it as well, sort of working in IT, as my mum would say, when everybody comes and asks for tech support, right? Because we work for a tech company, we're all super deep techies and can answer any question about any technology. And I found myself having to sort of not quite bite my tongue, but go, Copilot will do that for you. Oh, I'm trying to do this thing. Oh, yeah. Copilot just does that. You don't need to worry. And it's weird how it's embedded itself into my mindset so long. I've been around in this industry a while, and I've seen a number of sort of different technologies come and go. This is one of, if not the most impactful one I've ever seen in terms of changing the way I work, certainly, and the way I think about work as well. So I can see Pete is jumping to come in and tell us his $1 million idea.
Absolutely. So it's come up with 5. I was just going to go on your point there. For me, the most game changing prior to this was the advent of the internet. Rob, again, I'm showing my age, but
wow, okay, yeah, I'm with you.
When we got the internet, working in IT, I didn't have to pick up the phone to actually ring people to ask, I've got this problem, how do I fix it? I could actually put it in a search engine and ask the question. That was revolutionary. This is of that scale, I would say. And as having been in this industry that long, it really is, for me, it's one of those game-changing moments. Right, are you sitting comfortably?
I'm ready.
And
Yeah, I'm
by the
ready.
way,
We like
Yes.
Dragon's Den.
I'll put a little bit of a disclaimer on here that if anybody takes these ideas and does anything with it, I'll have 1%, please. If it fails, I'm sorry, it wasn't my fault. I didn't go billionaire. I apologize for that. But I asked AI, what solution could I develop in 2025 that would make me as an individual a millionaire within 2025? So that was the prompt that I gave our AI solution. And it came back with an AI powered personal assistant app, biotech health solutions, so create direct to consumer biotech product like personal health supplements or generic testing kits, sustainable technical products, so launch an innovative, easy for me to say, product that addresses sustainability issues. Again, will be big this year. Cyber services for SMEs. I think it was listening to me. That's quite scary because obviously we were talking about cyber earlier. The fact that obviously cyber is going to be a big thing. And finally, quantum computing applications. So as we move into the next level of computing capability, moving into quantum computing, because the likelihood is that over the next few years, quantum computing, which we could do as a full new episode, will take over the way we do computing today, and actually would quantum computing, for those that don't know, would render all of the encryption algorithms that we use useless, because it would be able to break them in seconds. So yeah, an interesting way of looking at things. But yeah, one of those 5 ideas, that's what AI has come up with, as to an area where we could make $1 million within the next year.
I think it's quite interesting and a little bit scary that none of those, with perhaps the one around creating bioengineered medicinal supplements, none of those are necessarily outside the realms of possibility. None of those are ones where we couldn't, if we were that way inclined, sit tapping away of an evening telling AI what to do, and suddenly it spits that product out. That personal AI assistant.
Slightly worrying, though, that it could just be anyone doing that with no kind of historical knowledge of it.
But yeah, it's just me asking our AI. It's looking at the sustainable tech one. It says a portable device for clean water generation using renewable energy sources, as an example of the sorts of things it could do.
But then do you go further as well and then say, well, how do I start this company? And then you've got to the next point of your journey, and what would I do first, sort of thing. You could just carry on, right?
I could, without question, I could keep asking the technology and it will give me answers. It's quite amazing. It really is.
And what you've done there is written the script for our first episode of 2026, where we're going to revisit whether Pete has become a millionaire over the year through his ideas.
Yeah, this time next year, Rodney, I'll be a millionaire. Again, those of a certain age.
So let's drag the conversation kicking and screaming away from the world of AI, because I think we've done that to death. And I'll start with because Pete, you made an interesting comment there around quantum computing, and we should definitely have an episode where we talk around that. You might have seen some of the stuff that Google's done recently with one of their AI quantum computing models. And I'm not gonna bore everyone with the physics behind it, but there's one throwaway line deep in the depths of the sort of what they were doing, because they were using it to crack a solution that they thought was uncrackable, and it did it in minutes, right? Rather than the entire time that the universe has existed, which is what normal computers would need to do the same thing. And there was one throwaway line that said, and it's basically doing this by using parallel universes to process the stuff. And it's like, hang on a minute, you can't just hide that away. But I think there's definitely I think we're going to see and again, a bit of an out there prediction for 2025, some form of affordable, usable quantum computing device that can be used by normal businesses or normal individuals, rather than sort of monolithic AI, monolithic sort of software vendors and hardware vendors and that sort of stuff. I think you'll see quantum computing coming to the fore over the 2025 period. Back to your sort of point from earlier, Pete, I think the first use will be for nefarious purposes. I think somebody will use it to crack encryption that can't be cracked, or crack some sort of protection that can't be seen. So there you go. Crazy, slightly scary prediction for 2025. What are your, I'll come to you first, Kate, if that's okay, is let's talk about another prediction that isn't AI related. So what sort of something, it can be realistic or out there, whatever you need, sort of want at this point, but what's another prediction that isn't AI focused for 2025?
Well, I'm gonna really struggle around moving around from AR in terms of ERP, Rob. But I think I would suggest that, we're obviously in a world from an ERP perspective of, multiple apps on the market. And, I expect that, that app area will grow, and we'll see, many different things coming to the fore. What we are seeing, and again, I appreciate that I'm kind of coming at it from an ERP angle, is that we're definitely going to see things around e-documents, because there's definitely more specifics in Europe, where people have different countries have actually got legislation in place now where e-documents are the thing moving forward. We don't have that in the UK right now. We can do that in the ERP that we sell, Business Central, but it's not legislative at the moment. But more and more, we're seeing different companies come to the fore and offering that solution out. I think definitely, again, we're seeing things around product configurators, lots of things around manufacturing efficiencies, I think, into the new year. And again, not trying to mention AI, but that comes with the territory in terms of different agents that we're going to get around that to create efficiencies around it. And I would suggest, again, enhancements around reporting, again, and BI. And again, unfortunately, not getting away from AI and the predictions that helps us create, to be fair, because it all is layered on top of one another. I think in another episode I mentioned that I've been to Directions recently, which is a Business Central conference in Vienna. Again, it was all about third-party apps, but I would say 75%, 80% almost of the content is still AI related. So sorry, the question was to try and move away from it, but that's the reality of where we are.
Yeah, if that's where we are, that's where we are. Pete, let's see if you can save us and something that isn't AI related.
So, prediction from me for this year is I think this is going to be the year of the device. So I think we're going to have a lot of changes around our end user devices that we use. Partly because of the way we are within the probable refresh cycle for lots of organizations. So, COVID was 4 years or so ago. So everybody probably got a sort of mobile type device or a laptop or whatever it was, probably about 4 years ago. So we're probably in that refresh cycle. As well as that, we've got obviously impending Windows 10 end of life, which is going to hit us mid-ish next year. So for me, in the world of real IT, I think, it's going to be a year of devices, device management, making sure that we're securing our devices as properly as we can do. So, it's going to come back down to doing a lot on the end user end rather than platform where we've been for the last couple of years. I think it's going to be very much more end user focused this year would be where I think we're going to end up.
Yeah, and I think my prediction is very similar. So I think it would be linked to all things sort of IoT, so Internet of Things and sensors related. I think because, and again, without dragging it back to AI is great when you feed it data and when you feed it something, some sort of input, something to do. We've seen IoT and sensors and all that sort of stuff make a real impact in businesses, organizations. Take like digital twinning for manufacturing and that sort of thing, where you can start to build out that virtual sort of copy of your factory floor or your supply chain or whatever it is you're trying to do. I think we're going to see that really start to embed itself into the consumer world in 2025. So that's going to start with the devices we've all got in our hands and we're sort of used to anyway. So you've got your phone, your smart watch, your smart meters in your home, your smart plugs, and I've recently just bought a new house and have had everything sort of connected up so I can shout at it with my voice, which is amazing. but I know it's doing something with that data, and I don't necessarily have a view of what. So I think you're going to see a lot more sensors, a lot more touch points to collect data that will then be used by AI and other tool sets to provide actual tangible activity. So coming back to your example from earlier, Kate, around sort of when and where do we trust AI to just go and add information for us or to add data into a file, we are going to have that situation very, very quickly where it will be absolutely normal for us never to go shopping, absolutely normal for us never to pop to Sainsbury's for milk, because the fridge will have known that I was going to run out of milk. It knew 2 days ago that I'd run out today. So when I go and look on my doorstep, there'll be a new pint of milk waiting for me. And it's a bit of a sort of trite example, if you like, but that sort of idea of everything, technology, sensors, AI, everything working together to provide a better experience for us and making decisions on our behalf. I think that's going to become normal in 2025 in a way that perhaps we can't quite understand how it would at this stage. But I honestly do think that's going to come around much quicker than people perhaps think it will.
I think there are some good positives around that, aren't there? Around, for example, it would be good if there was just some alert to tell me that a car needed MOTing or servicing or something like that, but it just knows that. Whereas now we get an email, you're talking about Alexa or whoever it is telling us in the middle of the day that that's what is going to happen, right?
A step further than that. So the car will know it.
More than that.
Will know it needs an MOT, will have booked itself in at the local place, and depending on what car you've got, it's driven itself there. Exactly that. That is going to become normal. And even last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we'd have thought that was science fiction. That could all happen now. We have that exactly. The technology exists to do that now. It's just our fear, perhaps, of not wanting to see our car drive away.
I know, I'm not sure what I feel about it. The fridge telling me that I need milk and it just being there the next day. Like, how's it going to get there? Or I'm a bit fearful of maybe the shopping just appearing.
Whereas I think that is amazing. I love the idea of going, I never have to go to a supermarket again. I never have to worry about running out of milk or coffee or the important sort of sources of life. But at least I can't wait for that to happen. We'll see if we get there in 2025. But.
Indeed. And I think you're right, Rob. I think the technology is now coming. And, living out in the sticks as I do, some of the things you're talking about there are unlikely to get to me in the near future. But one of the big advents for me over the last year is the comms that we can get to our locations to enable all of this technology has improved hugely. So, I'm speaking to you across a satellite link because that is how I get connectivity into the house. I've got another one that I can put in the camper van, so I can get proper business grade connectivity anywhere in the world now and not be connected to the back end system. So that technology will allow us to do all of this amazing sensor type work that you're talking about with the Internet of Things. So I think there's a number of things that have stacked up together, if you like, to take us on that journey. And I think the comms piece is one of those that has now fixed itself so that we're able to do a lot of the things that, to be honest, have been around for a while. The fridge example, I think, Rob, you told us a story yesterday of a fridge you saw a while ago. But, for me, the comms is now available so we can actually take it forward.
Yeah, and just you've mentioned it now, so I feel I need to. So there used to be back in the early days of like the Internet of Things, there used to be a fridge that sat in Microsoft's offices in Reading, and as you walked towards the fridge, it would know who's there. So at the time, it was doing it by looking at calendar lists and sort of visitor lists for the day and things like that, and headshots that had been taken by security as you came through the building. It would look at you, figure out who you were, and offer you a drink by name and all of that sort of stuff. extrapolate that further, and you've now got that same fridge that can look at anybody that walks past it, facially recognize them through their social media profiles or publicly available images or anything like that, figure out who they are, look at their social media history, figure out what drinks they might like, something they've drunk in the past, and then offer them not just a drink but a personalized recommendation of that drink. And that's coming back to the sensors and IoT bit that I was talking about, that's the sort of technology I see becoming just commonplace. If you don't want your milk to be delivered to you randomly by your fridge and you go into the supermarket, they'll know when you have entered the supermarket, they'll know who you are, and they'll be able to provide you via some means, whether it's augmented reality or haptic feedback or whatever, they'll be able to provide you directions to exactly what it is you want to buy, and it will know what you want to buy because, well, it knows you better than you know you. And I really do think that's something that's going to come.
And you'll have targeted advertising that obviously knows the sorts of things that you might buy on occasion. So it will send you to those and potentially give you a personalized discount on the day. So all of that technology is available. I say it scares me a little bit. I'll just throw that out there. And as I always say to everybody, I will be living in my cave in Scotland in a year's time, never being a millionaire. But living off grid is where I might end up.
I think it's fair to say, though, over the course of lots of years, we do embrace technology, don't we? And this is just another thing for us to embrace. Like we've all said that the Copilot and AI has created our efficiencies in our working lives and probably outside of our working lives as well this year. And I always go back to the kind of 15, maybe 20 years ago when I first started being a consultant, and I used to print out Google Maps on a piece of paper and have it on my passenger seat in the car and having to look down, and it was totally unsafe because I was literally driving like this but looking down at whereas now we've got, satellite navigation. Maybe the car's going to drive me now, over the next few years to where I actually want to be, and I don't need to worry about any directions at all or where I'm going to be. So I think that's just an example of we've embraced it and all for the better.
I agree.
Very much so.
And I think that's a great place for us to leave it today, folks. So thank you both for your time, as always. Really, really good to chat. Thank you for everyone for watching and listening, and we'll Happy New Year, and we'll see you all again on the next episode of the Technology Boardroom. Thank you.